New York is recognized for any questions he may have for the council.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you both for being here with us today. I'd like to take a quick step back here for a moment to look more broadly at how the EPA has operated or chosen not to operate under the statutory guidelines of the Clean Air Act. I think that the multi-pollutant emission standards rules that we're discussing here today is emblematic of a larger weaponization of the agency to advance radical causes at the expense of fulfilling its actual basic duties as set out by Congress. The EPA has consistently done this by stepping out of its authorized lane and attempting to force its wishes on the American people without the authority to do that. The Clean Air Act directs the EPA to reduce pollutant emissions from vehicles themselves and not force a monumental shift towards an alternative transportation technology through stringent emission standards. So in theory, the EPA could mandate the use of mass transit to achieve emissions reductions, but such an effort would clearly be beyond its statutory authority. Representative Wahlberg, can you discuss the negative consequences of the EPA exceeding its statutory authorities as set out by Congress in carrying out sweeping new policies like the one we're discussing here today?
Well, the EPA regularly misses its deadlines for things that they already have priority and responsibility for. To put this in place at this point in time, when automatically 60% of new cars in 2030 and 7% in 2032 would be required to meet these standards, that goes beyond, as we figured, 17% higher than the president's campaign promise or called for in his executive order. So this is a EPA that, in a sense, has gone rogue, establishing a virtual mandate, if we can use that term, a virtual mandate that can't be met by anything except a vehicle itself. It won't work for most of the people. That's a major concern.
Thank you. And Representative Wahlberg, not only are these emission standards outside EPA's authority, they were promulgated by people who seem to be willingly ignore real-world impacts on these policies. As my colleagues have pointed out today, in colder weather areas, battery performance can be decreased by as much as 40%. Add on top of the fact that EVs have a limited towing capacity, and you have a vehicle with a performance that is substantially worse than the nameplate performance. In my district, it's both cold, and we have vast agricultural footprint. This proposed rule would mean farmers of all varieties that rely on pickups for farm work would be severely impacted by the proposed actions. Representative Wahlberg, in your view, would the EPA's proposed rule, if finalized, result in harm to the future of the American agriculture industry, and would it put farmers and ranchers at the mercy of unreliable and unaffordable forms of transportation?
Thanks for asking that question. My district is heavily agriculture. They would like the F-150 for charging between the next Farm Bureau meeting and their farm, because it's fun to drive. I've driven it myself. But due to the work that they need to do, haul the trailers, cover the miles that their acreages need day in and day out, it just won't work. They're very concerned about this, and it goes away, especially in the sense of the fossil fuel industry with corn growers. They would like to see a means by which we can clean it up. They think they can with ethanol, as opposed to mandating something that will take away what they have in place, what they can work on, and what works best for their industry.
Thank you. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I hear many of the same concerns from my growers and farmers in my district. Affordability, reliability, and consumer choice, they have got to be at the heart of our country's energy future. Thank you for your leadership on this legislation. I'm proud to be a co-sponsor, and I look forward to its consideration on the floor. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
I thank the gentleman. I want to thank both our witnesses for testifying today, and both gentlemen are excused.
Thank you. Thank you. See you at COP 28.
It's a Thursday on a plane, right?